Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our weekly insights on Friday. My name is Vikram Kamra. I am CRO of LawAccounting, and today my agenda is how to set up chart of accounts in LawAccounting. This is the most critical item when you start the LawAccounting, or I would say any accounting, because if this goes wrong, then all your reports analysis is going to go wrong. And it become very hard later to change them, because if you have a lot of transaction on certain items, and it become very challenging going forward. Let's go to the system. As you have seen already about LawAccounting is divided into 5 different applications, and one of them is accounting setup. And part of the accounting setup is this journal ledger, which is mainly to set up your chart of account items. So once you click on this, it will show you all the existing chart of account items. If you have to import, you can import. You can click this button, import, and it will import it. So once the data is here, you can see what exactly is defined. And I'll show you if you have to create one-off or anything like that, you can just go here and create new one here. All right, so right now it is showing me that this is my chart of account item. And let me just open one of that and I will show you how it works. All right, so these are the main fields. There are different tabs here, like one is tax, one is transaction, history. Now, the significance of each tab is like, this is just a detail about that particular report. Second is taxes, if there's any tax defined for that. And I have another session next week on just to specifically talk about the taxes. If there are any other transaction associated with this, history is if I'm making changes, it's just from the auditing purpose. This history tab you will see pretty much available across the board for each and every data entry point in LawAccounting, because we just have an auditing of the system. All right, so let's go one by one, each and every field. So parent journal ledger, let's say you have some kind of hierarchy. So currently we are supporting one level of hierarchy this way. So where, let's say I have 4,000 income, and then you have 4,000 income attorney 1, 4,000 income attorney 2, 4,000 income attorney 3. So you will be defining 4,000 income as one general ledger, and then you are going to put 4,001 as a ledger. So that way you can have your parent as a 4,000, 4,001 is as a child. So that's how this whole thing works. Right now, I just want to define it as a main item, nothing to do with the parent child. So I'll leave the parent alone. So I just put ledger name. Another thing is like, why do I have this number and the name here? A lot of system has just number, some system has just name. Why we combine them together? This is because this system is built on Salesforce. So if I put number, this become very easy for me to search, like 1,000.2. So that actually help you to basically search those chart of account item very quickly. So that's why we recommend when you actually build this, you can put number dash the name. And of course, this also help you to sort them out in the reporting and all this. This makes life very easy when you look into them, because they come as a sorted item. Otherwise, if it's just a name, like A, B, C, D, F, G, where it should show up, how you're going to sort it, it becomes very challenging in the report. So we strongly recommend that you should always put some number in front of that. So that is just a name. It's a text field. You can combine number dash, number dot, name of the chart of account item, number of the chart of account. So that's just a text field. Then this is the type. So we have 3 types available for you to select. One is balance sheet, revenue, and expense. So as according to standard accounting. So right now this is selected as a balance sheet. Now, based on what you're selecting, your subtype 1 is going to change. So right now I selected balance sheet. It is going to show me all the balance sheet related items. For example, it's saying assets, liabilities, owner equity. So that's a subtype 1. And then if you have further classification of that, you can define subtype 2. For example, I had this balance sheet item. Then I put this as an asset. Now I can put, okay, this is my current asset, or this is my cash, right? This is a bank. So I may be defining this should be as a cash. So this is pretty much like when I set up my chart of account item, my name. If there's a parent of this, then parent name, then type, only 3 types, balance sheet, revenue, and expense. Depending on what type I'm selecting, this subtype 1 values are going to change. Now, for example, I selected balance sheet. Now I can select asset, liability, another further classification of that. And my third classification, I want to put another group, I can define that as another group. So this is just the name of that. Now, rest of the fields are actually having very significant impact on what you are doing in the system. So let me go through one by one. Let's first look at bank versus a credit card account. Now, what does that mean is that I define, let's say, this is my bank, look like this bank, Bank of Elk River. So you check this off. Now, if any item is defined as a bank, you will start seeing these items are coming in the cash receipt, cash disbursement, bank reconciliation. So this is very significant checkbox. Let's say you define a bank and this is not checked, then yeah, you will not able to do the bank reconciliation. You are not able to connect this bank with your outside bank, like through the APIs. Your cash receipt, you may not able to see them. So there are a lot of challenges. So it is very important, if it is any chart of account item is for the bank, you basically check this off, check. Then if this particular bank is a trust bank, then you should actually select this one too. One thing I want to make very clear is that this, if this is, let's say, trust bank, and you are selecting this and not selecting this, then this will not consider as a bank. So to make this, mark this as a bank, this should be checked. And if this is a trust bank, then you should always select this. So if this is trust bank, this and this both should be checked. If it is just operating bank, you can uncheck this and leave it alone. So this is how you are going to select bank and trust bank in the system. Then what is this controlling AR and controlling AP means? So when you're defining revenue or expense GLs, you can define if there is any controlling AP and controlling GL. This is how we actually control your multiple AR, multiple AP. For example, I'm defining, let's say, 4001 income for attorney one. Now, you want this attorney one income should always go to AR for attorney one. So then you should be putting controlling AR is AR attorney one. And the same thing goes for the AP attorney one. So that way, if you have multiple AR and AP, this is how we control. So you, when you define those item, revenue or expense item, you actually put those controlling AR and controlling AP. This cash flow type in the reporting, when you run the cash flow analysis you do, we have this defined different, you can say, a grouping of those cash flow report, operating, investing, and financing. This is how you basically select them. And whenever you're defining any chart of our account item, you set where exactly this cash flow will go. And that's how these reports are going to work. Active versus non-active, as I mentioned before, first of all, you cannot delete any chart of account item. Sorry, let me repeat. If there is any transaction against this chart of account item, you cannot delete this, period. You just can't. System will not let you delete that. If there is no transaction against this, yes, you can delete that. If there are some transaction, but still you want to make it inactive, you can't do this in the middle of the year. So in the middle of the year, you cannot make them inactive. We do have a system where you can run the reports on the inactive, but by default, if you're in the middle of the year, you cannot make them inactive. If you want to make them inactive, create another one, move this transaction to another one, then merge them together. There is a way. So always talk to our support team when you're trying to make them inactive. So that is pretty much it about the general ledger. And let me just take you to the report and I'll show you where exactly these are getting used. I just open our tab for financials. So I'm just going to run, let's say it's a balance sheet. I'm saying this month 2023-01. So to 2023-12. And I'm going to run, let's say, accrual. This has some test data. This is my type, right? So this is what I was defining every chart of account item as type. So this is why this type is there. Then you remember subtype one. This is my subtype one, which is saying asset, liabilities, owner equities. So that's how it actually the system knows like what chart of account item belong where. So let me just show you if I have to add those groups, subtype 2 kind of groups. So there is this filter button. You select here. So first of all, there are a lot of zeros. So I want to hide 0 rows. If there's any inactive GLs I don't have. This is what I was saying, show subtype 2. So now let me select this and filter them up. So now what system is doing is, first of all, I put a filter, take out 0. So it took out the 0. Then it is trying to group this up. Say this, now I started showing all the subtype 2, subtype 1 kind of groups. So it actually started showing me all those groups, and if there is any parent hierarchy, it actually started showing them. So that's the significance of subtype 2 and those parent hierarchies. And this just group them up and up, it keep on showing all the number goes up and show up. So I will just stop for a second just to see if there is any question. Let me read your questions and I'll answer them as I go. So one of the question, you have multiple hierarchies, how you're going to achieve that. So as I was mentioning here in our general ledger, so definitely you can select one parent. So that is one level of hierarchy. So if you have multiple levels, so for example, normally if they goes into the income side, so let's say I'm selecting income revenue. So this subtype 1 and subtype 2, if you really see, there's not too much impact. So I can actually start defining them like as a subtype 1. Let's say you have 4,000 income as your parent, then you have 4,001, let's say attorney fee income, 4,000 or 4,200 underneath that as your, let's say, reimbursement income. And then under those, you want to create attorney's name. So you can actually create them as a ledger, and then you can put them as a subtype 1 and subtype 2 so that it will start creating those groups. So these subtype 1 are mainly very significant when you are defining balance sheet, because if you really mess up with like assets, liability, equity, that actually change your balance sheet item. However, if you are in the revenue and expense side, it really are pretty much like how you want to group it. It's very relaxed system, and it actually let you define subtype 1 and subtype 2. Technically, parent, general ledger, subtype 1 and subtype 2, this give you like 3 level of hierarchies if you want like grouping on top of your actual ledger item. All right, I don't see any more questions. So thank you very much again for attending the call today. I really appreciated everybody's time. This video will be available on the YouTube, as well as I'm going to put it on the LinkedIn also. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us, sales@lawaccounting.com. You can always send us email. Someone is always available to answer your email. So thank you so much again, and see you next week.